leading into the TNT doubleheader. Light schedule. It's like the old days on Thursdays with just two games, just the two TNT games. Starts off tonight with the red-hot Rockets. Sounds weird to say after the start they got off to in Miami, taking on the Heat, who are coming off of back-to-back wins. This Rocket team, last night, won their fifth in a row. They're shooting the three ball like the team that won 65 games last year. Are you confident now, as they're back within the top 8 in the West, that they have found themselves?
Well, they found, I guess, their personality there, shooting the basketball. But sometimes we say to ourselves, as our league changes and everyone becomes copycat, but if that's not who you are, why would you change, right? So early in the season, they were trying to do different things, to your point, what they didn't do last year. Obviously, you lost those players we've been talking about defensively, yes. But if you're not making shots, if you're not playing to what you're been selling us the last couple of years, then you're not going to want to play defense. So that's why last night, making shots, and then Gerald Green just started, and then when Michael Carter Williams, of all people, makes the last one for the record, that's when I said, that's their system. Nothing against you, Michael Carter Williams. I love you, you're a great guy, but let's face it, that's not your game. That's not what made you a first-round draft pick coming out of Syracuse. So the fact you made that three, to your question, it lets me know the Rockets are getting back to who they are.
And this is a team who had planned this season to lighten the load of Chris Paul and James Harden, hoping to save them for the playoffs. Chris Paul's had some injury history in the postseason. James Harden's numbers seem to dip after game one in each postseason series he plays over the last couple of years. But even now, as they're rolling, and even now as they're 2 games above 500 with the possibility to go 3 over after being 3 down to start the season, they're in a position where they have to be perfect here for the next several months, unlike last year where they could put it in cruise control.
Well, if you take care of your business, then you're right, Jared, because you're not worried about the rest of the schedule and the other teams going what they need to go through. But I say it again, you have to make shots because you feed off of that. You don't have a guy that's going to go out and block 4 or 5 shots a night. You don't have a guy that's going to go out get 3 or 4 steals because Chris Paul's older now. Chris Paul's not that guy where he's always 1, 2, or 3 in steals. So now if you're not making shots as a team and you're not feeding off that shot-making ability, then what are you feeding off of?
Right, but the question here is that James Harden's 3rd in the league in minutes played, and last night got to take a lot of time off as they blew out the Wizards. But you have a back-to-back here tonight, and this is a game where, okay, you're Houston, you're supposed to win this, even though it's a second game of the back tonight, even though you've traveled. Yes,
you know why you're supposed to win it too? Because you're not practicing. So that's why I'm not mad at James Harden playing big minutes. So a lot of these teams who have their superstars playing major minute, fans, relax. This is the new NBA. They're not practicing 2 and 3 hours, like to your point, back-to-back, or having 2 days off in between games. They're still not practicing heavy. So the minutes, not worried about. The question is, are these guys doing the things like LeBron James and Steph Curry and KD have shown us? They're getting the massages, they're doing the things, taking care of their body so they can respond on that back-to-back.
You had 2-hour practices?
Yes, we did back in the 90s. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Hey, I know your son's
Hey, we practiced back in the day. I don't know about this new stuff.
There was no practice today, but Mike D'Antoni did address the media a couple of moments ago talking about the quick turnaround tonight against Miami.
You know, when you have James and Chris, who've seen every kind of defense in the world, and I don't think they'll be flustered by it. I mean, it could, but we do what we do, and whether they play a zone or a man or they got a big back, big up, trap, I don't know what else. You know, they've seen it all, and they're ready for it.
And it's going to be interesting here because they're not in the clear just yet. So you got to take care of business, and this Miami team who's going to want to defend you. And by the way, it's all relative. Miami does take a lot of threes, not nearly as many as Houston. So that they can get into this battle with Houston tonight.
They can, but, you know, no Gordon Dragic. Get it out 3D. Gordon Dragic, excuse me. Not having him, I think, takes away the tempo and the pace of the game. So he's another 3-point shooter. But one thing we know about Coach Spo, he will tweak things and take you out of your first and second option and to get to your third option. But we know Houston's third option is ISO Chris Paul, ISO James Harden, get to your sweet spot and swing for 3. So how do you take them out of that?
Yeah, we'll see that tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. We're going to watch the Rockets trying for a 6th straight win against the Miami Heat, who have won back-to-back games, and they're going through a lot of injuries as